How do I start this thing?
Have you plugged the bloody USB in?
Yeah, it's in.
Nah, man, that's the wrong port. Oh, wait, it's flashing now.
Is it it's recording.
Well, let's start this thing, fool!
Hello, everyone. I'm Amelia.
Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to Ask the Duo podcast, a podcast where we get deep into those late-night, unfiltered conversations.
We'll be discussing all things lifestyle, relationship, mindset, and more.
Alright, let's get to it! Hello!
Today's looking a bit gloomy.
It looks pretty shit outside.
And it's been raining, I swear, like in the sunshine state, or what they claim as a sunshine state. I swear it's been raining 95% of the year, and maybe 5% of sunshine that comes out for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think this global warming thing is kind of ruining Queensland.
Yeah, hopefully it stops because we're actually going to a wedding today, so I'm wishing for the couple today that at least they get a little bit of sunshine.
Yeah, but I mean, it is sort of sunny now, but it's raining at the same time.
Sun shower.
Yeah, it's a sun shower, but it's...
Yeah. But on the topic of celebrating love, I wanted to talk about, let people know how we met.
How did we meet?
It was such a long time ago.
Yeah, it's many, many years ago.
Yeah. But I actually really enjoy, or I like to tell the story of how we met because it's not your typical story of, you met at a party or you met on the streets or something and then you guys caught up and had a few dates and then that kind of thing happened. Our story was a bit different. That's why I kind of like our story and how we became together.
Yeah, because I don't think the intention was anything more than just meeting you.
Yeah.
Well, that was the introduction anyway.
Yeah, I think that's actually a beauty. Like, I'm a very big believer on, like, if you just... Things will come to you when it's the right time for you, and if you're specifically going out there to look for something, it makes it a lot harder because you're trying so hard. But if you naturally work on yourself and, let the world do its thing, it will come to you at the right time.
Yeah, well, that is true and right? So if it is the right time, then things will happen.
But yeah, so did you want to explain how we met? Or maybe I'll tell my side of the story and then you tell your side of the story because it, like how you perceived it may be different to how my story went on my end.
Yeah, I mean, you can go first.
Yeah, so I was actually moving schools. I was in high school, moving from grade 10 to year 11. I changed schools. And back then, the social media was Bebo and was it MSN? Yeah, MSN.
Yeah, MSN.
Good old MSN. Those were the days.
Yeah.
And my cousin was actually goes to this school that I was moving to, and yeah, I was just on Bebo. Some random guy reached out to me and was like, "Hey, you're moving to this school," and I started chatting, and then. Me being me, I'm always friendly, always open to chat. So I was just like, seeing who this guy is. And he seemed pretty cool, really chill. By the way, this guy was not Sam, was not you. And I think we maybe chat for about a week or something. I can't remember. Like, this is literally so long ago, like 16 years ago. And he was like, "Hey, I'm going to Garden City on whatever day." I think it was school holidays, like school's just finished for the year. And he's like, "Hey, I'm going to Garden City and with a few friends," or I don't know if he said a few friends, or I'm bringing a friend. And then, like, this was actually the very first time I've actually met someone on the internet. And I'm always a person that's always down to do something. So I didn't really think of, like, obviously I had like a few barriers being like, this may be dangerous because I don't know this person. But at the same time, talking to him for a week, I was like, oh, he seems really friendly. So I was like, okay, like, we're at Garden City anyway, like, it's a big shopping center. Let's, give it a go. Meet this new person, because I'm down to meet new friends anyway. So after that, long story short, went to Garden City, met this guy, And he brought you over, and I was like, hanging out, but I can't remember what we did.
Yeah. I don't even remember how he managed to convince me to go, because at that time I was just started uni, first year of uni, so I was trying to get my bearings around going to uni, catching buses to go to uni. So it was sort of a new adventure for me at that time. But this guy basically said, "Hey, come to Garden City with me, just hang out, and I'm going to bring this friend who I want you to meet." And I was like,
so random.
I mean, I didn't think much of it because, coming out of high school, you've really just set yourself around.
You're in that exploration phase where you're just like cool to just.
Yeah, but for me it was different because I wanted to dabble outside of my usual friends at school. So my school was predominantly white, like Westerners.
Yeah.
So all my friends are Aussies, white blokes.
Yeah.
Not many Asians, or if at all any Asians at school. So I sort of wanted to give it a try to hang around more Asians.
Actually, I think that was the same for me. I moved from a school that had a lot of Western white people, and like they're really great people, but I think it was just really hard for me to understand the conversations of what they talk about. I just really don't understand the slang, and I've always struggled with that ever since I was young, and I come down to that because I was very sheltered in a very Asian upbringing, because my parents did not let me watch, Aussie TV. Like, people would talk about Simpsons, and I'm like, I don't know anything about Simpsons. They'll talk about Friends. I'm like, I don't know what that is, because I was forced or made to watch a thing called TVB, which is essentially a
Asian.
Hong Kong TV that you have to buy like a VPN or whatever and network. Satellite dish and network it. So all I was exposed to was anything that was Asian. And whenever, so I was not exposed to that conversational social side of things, which made me a bit, I don't know what you say, like inexperienced in that world, and I feel like that was what I was lacking. So I kind of wish I was exposed to that a bit more.
Yeah, you definitely didn't experience the 90s era.
Yeah.
For Aussie TV. Because, man, there were so many good things back then.
I watched Cheese TV. That's probably the only thing that we watched, but we were only allowed maybe like 15 minutes of it because we had to rush to school, and that's about it. Yeah. And I think I mainly watched it is because my brother, he was very into it and he really loved watching that, so he turned it on and I'm like, okay, let's like watch it. And it was like Pokemon, and that's probably the only thing.
That's pretty much what I watched Cheese TV for, was Digimon, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, I love Yu-Gi-Oh!
That sort of stuff, yeah.
But yeah, like, it was also weird because I've watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Before I saw it on Cheese TV, so it was out on, the Asian network TV before it was in Australia, and I watched it in Cantonese, so when I heard it in English, I was like, this is weird. Yeah. But anyway, so that's similar to you. When I was moving to this new school, there was a lot more Asian culture there. I didn't know that, but I think from what I heard from my cousin, there's a bit more Asians, and I was the same thing. I was trying to meet more people in that culture, and this friend that reached out to me was also Asian, so I was like, oh yeah, I'm keen to, try and hang out and see, if I can make new friends.
Yeah, so my theory, the way I thought at that time was, because I always exposed myself around Westerners, not that it was a bad thing it wasn't like a positive or a negative thing, it's just I wanted to
That
branch.
was just what your life was like.
Yeah, because my upbringing was more about, don't just be cautious about who you're hanging around with, especially with the Westerners, because their mindset is different in terms of just upbringing and how they view things on certain things. So I was always been told to just be cautious, and to sort of surround myself more around the Asian culture and the people.
You just wanted to explore your, like...
Yeah, so I was like, well, I just wanted to explore what it was like to hang around more, like, the Asian sort of community.
Yeah.
So, when this guy, my mate, was like, hey, come out hang out with this new person, this chick or dude.
Did he
didn't even tell me it was a girl. He just said, "Oh, I've got another friend." So I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever. Let's just give it a crack. Let's whatever." So went to Garden City with him, and there I met you. And
do you remember what we did on that first day we met? I can't remember.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember.
We just roamed. Like, we technically did nothing for like.
I think
3 hours.
we hung out at Garden City, but we ate. And I think the Garden City used to have an arcade called Replay, so I think we went into Replay and sort of hung out a little bit there. And then we just...
yeah, and then from then we just hung out maybe every week or every second week or something. It became a more common occurrence. And then on top of that, usually at the end of the year, I would go to Hong Kong for the 3 months break and I would just chill there. But I think this year I didn't go. So we hung out, got the opportunity to hang out a bit more. And then school started and it was, I don't know, was it you that kind of was like, hey, I'm going to be at Garden City in the morning, and then you just reached out to me and I just hung out with you then as well.
Yeah, because the reason why is because I had to, in order for me to get to uni, I had to catch 3 buses from the location that I lived at. So I had to get up pretty early, where by the time we get to Garden City, where that bus, depot is, it was like really
around
early.
It was around when I had to go to school as well.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, oh, well, I've got to wait for a minute. So I was like, who else can I hang out with? So I didn't know anyone else that went to your school. So
I thought you did know a few people.
Well, I did, but they're not going to be there that early.
Well, how'd you know I was going to be there that early?
I don't know.
Because this was before school hours. I was like
this is way
an
before
hour
school.
early or something. Yeah.
I don't know. I think
or was it like
a part of the conversation where you told me, you normally get to Garden City by this time or whatever it is.
Did I? I don't remember.
Well, anyway, that's how we basically met up before you went to school.
Yeah, so we hung out before as well. And then this is kind of off topic. It's so random, but every year I had a new phone. Like, I don't know why, but I always bought a new phone. My dad bought me a new phone, and back then it was all about the Sony Ericssons and the Walkmans and stuff. And I randomly gave you well, it was still new, but now my old phone because I had a new phone, and I just gave you my phone.
No, because I asked you, because I never had a Sony Ericsson. I never used one.
Yeah, were you like, oh, I've never had one? I'm like, yeah, here you go.
No, so how it came by was I had a Samsung slide phone. So, back in the day, slides were the big thing.
Yeah.
And flip phones. So...
The Motorollas.
Yeah, Motorollas. You had, Panasonics. Back in the day, Panasonics were really good phones. The flip phones.
Yeah.
Remember
the sideways ones with the keyboard, the full keyboards?
Isn't that a Nokia one?
Was it? No, I think it was something else.
Because I know Nokia came with a sideways phone.
The one where you can flip the whole entire screen up, but it's horizontal, and then you've got the keys, and then you close the lid, and it's just a phone with the screen.
Yeah, I think...
It was always on those girly movies, the chick flicks.
Yeah. Yes, back in the day, those phones were epic.
Did I love that Sony Ericsson?
Yeah, the Sony Ericssons, I've never... Because I used to hear that... So Sony Ericssons were obviously a Walkman designed phone.
Yeah, they're all for the music.
Yeah, but they had really good sound.
Yeah.
Like a loudspeaker.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh shit, I've always wanted to just try one. And
back then you did sea walking and all that stuff that plays music as well.
Yeah, so I knew that you used that phone, so I was like, oh, do you have a spare one that I can try? And then you're like, yeah, here. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I just gave you my phone. I was so generous, and I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know. That phone would have been easily a few $100s, even though it was used for a year. But I was like, yeah, my phone.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is this woman doing? She's smoking crack or some shit?
And I knew you for maybe a month.
Yeah, just handed over a bloody phone. I was like, okay.
Hey, but we still have this phone till this day.
But it's funny because I never gave you that phone back.
Yeah, I
kept it for ages, and I never dumped it. I still have it. I kept it. To this day, we still have it. I just said, oh, well,
and it's still in great condition.
It's in really good condition because it wasn't my phone, so I didn't want to just fucking dump it. But
what was your reaction like, apart from like, what the hell? Like when I gave you the phone.
Well, that's what I said before. I'm like, what the fuck is this woman doing? She's smoking crack or
And
some
you're
shit?
like, hey, can I have it? And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was really random, but that's how the phone situation came about.
Yeah.
But
But then you tried to teach me some sea walking, that little V, whatever.
oh yeah. So back then, yeah, I was into sea walking, which was kind of embarrassing, but yeah,
It was everyone's phase.
it was the
Everyone got
phase
into it.
back in 2006 when everyone wanted to do it, and everyone did it. Basically, after me and a high school mate did it.
Yeah, and then like I was with a few other guy friends from my school, and they would go into Toys R Us. I don't think it's there anymore. Toys R Us at Garden City, and they would record in the aisles and record them doing sea walk and all that. That was the shit back in the day.
Wow. When you look back, it's fucking lame. Hey?
Yeah, if anyone wants to know, just YouTube sea walk and just see what comes up. Like that was the era that we lived in. So yeah, like, I would say our connection grew pretty easily, like naturally, and we could just chat to each other.
I think the biggest thing was our the group, the community that we knew, the people, mutual friends and stuff like that. It was all joint in some way, but there was a period where we sort of just didn't talk.
Yeah,
I
so
think
after, but that was because of you didn't even, so this guy going from, hey, let's hang out before school, and then maybe, I think you probably came and saw me before school a good few weeks, and then after that, you just randomly disappeared, didn't even tell me anything, and like, didn't say, hey, I'm not going to Garden City anymore, whatever, like just stopped texting me, didn't message me. I'm like, okay, see ya.
Yeah, it was because I got my driver's license, so I stopped.
Yeah, and you're like, don't need this girl anymore.
Well, yeah, that was also because I was transitioning from a different uni.
Yeah.
So, I guess, I went to Logan Griffith, which is when the period of me catching a bus.
Yeah.
And then I realised that it's too far and it's not viable.
Yeah.
So as soon as I could fuck off, I got the fuck out of there.
And fucked me up.
Yeah, so I ended up going to Nathan Griffith, and that's when I met a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
So I was really into cars back then.
Still am.
No, sort of. Still am.
If you ever went to Sunnybank and saw a group of 40 to 60 people, this guy is one of them that was in there that took up the whole entire food court.
Oh, yeah. So that's another story, but so that's basically what happened was, life changed for me at that point because obviously I started driving so I could commute easier and everywhere I wanted to go.
Yeah.
But then I changed university, so I didn't have to go to Garden City all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was like a solid period where we probably didn't even talk.
No, so I think it would be like around a good 6 years that we calculated on how we didn't really see each other much or talk, but in between there were like small times, like small little interactions where either you would reach out on Facebook and be like, hey, how are things? Or I would see you at Market Square and you'd be like, hey, like, how are you? That kind of thing. And we would always catch up and it didn't feel awkward and it didn't feel like...
It wasn't forced and it wasn't weird even if we didn't see each other for like a long time.
Yeah, it was like we can just talk normally. And like if you think about it, we actually only really hung out for maybe 2 months prior to... catching up again if we saw each other. So we only really knew each other for a short period of time, but like the way that we chat to each other was as if we were really good friends already. Yeah. So those are those little mini encounters, and then fast forward 6 years.
Well, before we sort of fast forward, we used to see each other.
Alright, rewind.
We used to obviously see each other like at Market Square, as you said. But like sometimes I'd go clubbing with my friends and I'd bump into you.
I remember that.
Yeah, like back in the day, Club Candy, which is
that was the shit.
Epic.
I loved the Club Candy, and then you have to go to all the Char Times and all the shops in Market Square to get the cards,
to get the discount cards,
to get the
free cards. Yeah,
yeah, to free entries.
The holographic looking cards.
That was so cool.
But yeah, we used to collect those every month.
Yeah. And then we hand them out like deals.
Yeah, we used to hand them out as well. But yeah, I think bumping into you then, I was like, holy crap, I didn't think you'd go clubbing.
Dude, clubbing was my life. I went every weekend. So a lot of my friends back in the day, I think they, growing up in their Asian upbringing, their parents are very strict on them going out late at night, weren't allowed to go out, so it was just really me hanging out with a whole bunch of guys, and the guys, their parents weren't as strict, so they're always hanging out. So I was like, yeah, I'm keen to go clubbing, so I went out with them, and it was always just me. And then there was one time, I think when I saw you, another of my girlfriend, like, was okay to go out as well, so we went out, and that's when I saw you, and we went in for free entry, which was like 9 o'clock.
Early bird.
Yeah. So the tip is not for like younger kids, please don't do this. You go in at 9 o'clock, get the free entry, get your stamp, walk back out, chill, and then come back in at 11. And as long as you have the stamp, you can go back in for free because you've already entered. So that was what we did. So that's when I saw you, and then we caught up again, I guess.
Yeah, I don't even remember what happened after that. I think it was kind of like, oh yeah, cool.
Didn't you leave the clubs? Like, I only saw you at that early entry, and then you were gone.
Yeah, I don't know. We were sort of in and out all the time. We had a lot of friends that smoked, so we always went outside and kind of chilled and watched the drunkenness outside.
People watching.
Yeah, so it's
Fortitude Valley watching.
Yeah, it's an interesting location, but I don't even know when we next saw each other after that, because that was
I don't know. The only thing I really remember that was more a significant thing where I actually saw you and actually got to chat to you was maybe a year out before we actually, what I would call dating, was when your friend randomly invited me to a midnight picnic barbecue thing. So he randomly organized a massive midnight barbecue. And I went, and I actually didn't even know if you were going or not. I just went because he invited, and I brought another friend there, and you rocked up, and that was when I think from then on, that's when we actually started catching up properly, rather than like a, hey, how are things, what are you doing now, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Like,
it was a proper, like, catch up. We'd actually go hang out, maybe go eat at Garden City or something.
Yeah, because so my friend, it's a group organizing thing. It's like an event that we normally do every week or maybe every fortnight. So we used to do like a midnight barbecue catch up because we have so many friends who are into cars or even not into cars. We just call them out and just come out and chill. Yeah. And we would just organize like food and shit like that. And people just bring like $10 or something like that. So we used to do that quite often, which was really fun. Yeah. And that forced everyone to sort of come out of their comfort zone and sort of socialise. I
think that was really good. We should probably do more of those again.
Yeah, that's why we liked doing that, because it just got the community together. Yeah. And it was good because it wasn't just like Asians. It was like we invited everyone. Like we had like, Sri Lankan dudes. We had like white dudes.
Yeah, it's cool.
Everyone to sort of come and mingle.
But it was more like, I think it was good because you guys all had a common interest, which is mainly the cars and going for a drive. And it's, it wasn't an official meetup or anything, but it's just to hang out.
Yeah, it's just come out, talk shit, eat some food, and just chill with cars and stuff like that. Yeah. So we did that quite often. But then obviously that one time that you went, that was a once-off thing. I think
it's so long ago.
Yeah, but that was the opportunity to really come out and talk to you again. Yeah.
And I think the reason why we got closer after that was because I was going through some shit, and during that time, chatting to you just felt really like you were always there to listen. And I wasn't there to, tell people my problems because I'm not that kind of person. I always keep things inside. But something about how you listen to me just talking, it seemed like I felt like I can actually open up. So I kind of put a little bit of that trust in you, and I opened up about, the things that I was going through. And then you started sharing your things that you went through or your experiences. And that's when we started getting closer and we were just talking about that stuff.
Yeah, I really liked, I think at that point in time, in that lifetime for me. I like talking to people about problems and stuff like that.
Yeah, me too.
Because I was really sociable compared to now, I think.
Yeah.
Because I used to go out all the time, meet new people and stuff like that. So...
And I think at that time as well, because, like I said, I don't open up. I'm on the outside, like I am, this is who I am. Like, people see me, the side of me where I'm very happy, everything's positive, I'm very bubbly, I laugh at everything. Like, people know me as someone who laughs at everything, which is truly who I am. But deep down, they don't know a lot of shit that I've been through and that side of things. And once I gave you a little snippet of that, you were like, oh shit, you would have not thought that a person like you had all this.
Yeah, 100%. I think even for me, when I'm like meeting you till I guess to that point, you know, my interpretation of you was more like you're always happy, you're like extremely friendly, you're just giving, like you didn't give a shit, like you're keen to meet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like that's what I guess I like that side of it.
Yeah.
Because I can see that you can be fun to be with and stuff like that. But then obviously talking to you at that time, realizing that there was a lot more that you've been through, which I feel a lot of people don't know, which is kind of like a sad thing because a lot of people have the perception of someone. You read someone by their, you know, you judge someone by their book, right? The image of their book. So everyone's perception is always like, oh yeah, she's this and this, but then they don't realize that under the, you know, the cover of that, there's a lot more shit that goes behind it.
Yeah.
And I think
which
that's
I'm sure everyone does as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm sure there's heaps of people out there who are the same. That's why it's like from that point in my life, I realized that people all have problems. And my perception of judging people changed at that point.
Yeah.
Because it taught me that there are so many people out there who are really nice, who you don't realize that there's things going on behind their door. And the important point from that is talking. I think talking really helped me understand, one, who you were, but also other people.
Yeah. There's actually a Chinese phrase, like I won't say it in Chinese, but it's like, I think it's called a phrase or an idiom. And it's saying everyone's house or everyone's family has a really hard book to read or like a really hard, something like that. And what that really means is everyone has their own little difficulties that it's really hard for them to get through, or like something that they're not hiding, but they just a face that you don't see. That's how I see it. And I find that really true. Like, and when you get really into deep conversations with people, that's when you start to find like their challenges and their struggles, and everyone is bound to have one. And that's what interests me because, like it's an eye opener to know those kind of things. Yeah. And I think that's probably that point when I guess for me at that time, it gravitated me towards you. Yeah. Because I'm like a helper. For some reason, I don't know. I want to know more, but also want to try and help because it's insightful for me to try and do something. Yeah. So I think at that point, that's when we sort of started hanging out more and doing more things together. Yeah. I think that's when you started hanging out with my group more often, I think. Yeah, I just hung out. Like, I'm a person that's like, I'm down to hang out, but like as long as I know one person there, I'm like, yeah, cool, I'm down to hang out with the rest of their group and meet new people. Like I would have, like, I feel like I do have a comfort zone in terms of that where I'm like, oh, it's a bit weird, but most of the time I just overlook that, like, weird thing. I'm like, screw it, let's just go, let's, hang out, meet new people. I was always like that. I'm still a bit like that. But, like, yeah, that was the whole reason why I started hanging around your friends as well. And also, obviously, being interested and want to get to know you more gave me the more incentive to be like, yeah, I want to get to know these people as well. Yeah. And I think, I mean, when you started hanging out with us, did that change your perception on certain things in life, or did that... It was definitely different. Like, I did hang out with a lot of guys from, like, high school and their friends of friends, but hanging out with your group was also different because I haven't hung out with a group of... I would say you guys are very, like, man, like guy, like very into cars and like doing all that kind of stuff. So that was very different. And I'm also into cars, but back then I didn't have my car. I have a Sylvia S15, but like before I had that, I didn't have any other like interactions where it's like guys always talking about cars and stuff. So that was very interesting to me.
Yeah, I think at that time, a lot of my friends just kept talking about cars.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, for newcomers, it's can be overwhelming because
I thought it was cool.
I mean, yeah, it depends on the person itself, but there were people who came into the group who were like, "Whoa, that's a little too much."
Yeah,
which
you guys were like talking about car parts in like the model numbers and stuff. I'm like, the hell is that? Like, I think when you guys were talking about wheels, like T37s, I'm like, what the hell? And then like,
yeah, we were pretty gimp when it came
like,
to car stuff.
Spec R, like spec whatever. I'm like, alright. But like, it was still interesting. Like, I'm a person who, like, if I don't know anything and obviously these people are really knowledgeable in whatever they're talking about, I'm always interested. I'm like, okay, I want to know more. So that's what made me stick around, because I'm like, I want to know like what these guys are into.
Yeah, and I think at that point, that was when I was doing a mechanic trade. So that was me in the field, modifying cars, but doing cars as well. So that's why the conversations were purely just about cars.
Yeah.
But obviously, as we progressed, I think that's when we started dating. I think
start seeing each other. But the funny thing is we never went on a date. I wouldn't classify us ever going on a date. We didn't exclusively say like, hey, let's hang out and go here or anything. Like, we would always just go to Garden City and grab lunch.
Yeah, and I think the one thing, because I didn't know that you liked me. Like, I knew that you hung out with me. Well, we hung out together. But it was your 21st birthday that made me realize that you liked me, because you got so drunk.
No, but it was before that. I'm pretty sure we both knew that we were interested in each other, because we saw each other for like, what, 5 months?
Yeah, we were definitely interested, but I didn't know that you actually officially said, yeah, I actually really do like you.
Yeah.
And the only way that I really found out was through your birthday, when you got so fucked up.
Yeah, but you were interested as well, right?
Yeah, I was interested, but I didn't know you actually liked me. There's a difference between actually liking and being interested, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't know if you're 50-50 or you're 30% or you're 40%. Like, I didn't know how invested you were.
Dude, that 21st birthday was wild. So, you came in with your friends and bought a whole bunch of alcohol, 151 Bacardi and like absinthe and all that shit.
Yeah, so before we jump into that, my friends, we used to drink pretty heavy.
Yeah, I used to drink a lot. I don't do that anymore.
We drank like 151 a lot. So we obviously going to this birthday, we were like, okay, let's test how good your friends are.
It was
drinking.
a joint birthday because me and 2 other friends, we have similar birthdays, and it was our 21st, so we decided to join our birthdays and do it at this friend's house, and it became like a massive house party.
It was pretty fucking hectic. Like, I've never seen. It was probably the funniest and the most intense party I have ever been to.
Yeah.
And I felt so sorry for your friend's house, because that house semi got trashed. Yeah. Not trash, but like it was just fucking dirty.
Yeah, and our friend's speaker broke because we pumped music way too loud. And then friends started bringing other friends. I think I was drunk, so I didn't know. They must have been like, hey, there's a party here, come hang out. And then all these people just started rocking out, and we're like, who the hell are you? Do I know you? Or like, are you this person's friend's friend? Like, we don't know. And
it was pretty hectic. Like, all these people kept coming in, and I was like, what the hell is going on? But okay, whatever.
But yeah, anyway, so obviously on your birthday, people are always going to be like, it's your birthday, you need a drink. So that's what happened to me. But because that day we were so busy setting up, making like decorations and setting up the whole entire house, I didn't eat at all. And we made food, like there was food. But by the time I got downstairs, it was finished already. So we definitely miscalculated how much food we needed. And so yeah, I didn't eat a thing. And then everyone, like including you and your friends, were like, oh, you gotta fucking drink, take a shot. And I was like, yeah, okay, like taking shots. Because back then I drank like crazy. Like I would go for the strongest, hardest shots. and just keep downing them. And I would say I took alcohol pretty well. So I just kept doing that. But on an empty stomach is definitely not good. Not a good idea. Don't do that, kids. And that's when I got smashed. And then apparently the whole entire night I was only calling for you and only you while throwing up, and my dress was a mess and my hair was a mess and vomits and whatever all over me.
Yeah, so from my point, it was like, you know, we brought all these drinks because obviously we were older than most of your friends.
Yeah.
So we were just like, oh, let's see how hard these guys party, because we know how hard we party. Let's see how fucked up they get. And as soon as we came within the hour, everyone was just dead.
I want to say an hour, maybe like 2 hours.
It was like an hour and a half. It was pretty quick. And it was hilarious because we were all drinking with you guys.
And then one guy slipped on his own vomit
and
fell in it.
Yeah, so someone spewed in the kitchen. We were there because we were all taking shots and we were forcing everyone to drink.
Yeah, you know like the anime, how they do a little twirl and like jump and
when
then
they slip?
Yeah, it was like...
Yeah, pretty much like that. And it was the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, throughout the night I was pretty much like outside, inside the house, just chilling, talking shit. And like your friend would bring you out, or even your friend would just come out and be like, hey, Amelia's asking for you. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and you were outside, weren't you?
Yeah, I was outside and I was like, what the fuck? And they're like, yeah, she's asking for you, man. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I seriously couldn't count how many people came out to me and said, hey, she's asking for you. Hey, this person asked, where are you?
I guess I made it official.
Yeah, so like and not just that, but a lot of them were like, hey, what's happening with you guys?
Yeah.
And that's when it really hit me and I was like, oh shit, she actually really does like me.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And even when I went to see you, you would always just come over and just hold and hug me. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we've gone from just hanging out, like, we're interested, to like...
No, but even before that, we were actually seeing each other.
Yeah, but we were seeing each other, but it was never like... we never had that conversation in that regard of, hey,
yeah, but I think it's because you were like too scared to ask, and I was probably too scared to ask, and maybe the alcohol was what brought it out in me. I'm like, whatever, screw it, no shame, just do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm pretty much like met all your friends, and you know, all your friends were talking to me that whole night. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess it is what it is then. So
no, but the thing was, did you feel the same?
Well, yeah. Well, obviously, yeah, because it was a mutual thing. But obviously, knowing that you sort of, I guess, exposed it made it easier for me to go, okay, cool. And this person actually.
But were you even going to ask me out before that?
Well, yeah. Yeah, it definitely was.
Man, I cut the crap. I was like, screw it.
You're too keen, mate. You just like, fuck
get it
this
done,
shit.
bro. Ain't no time to waste here.
Yeah, so I mean, that's from that point. That was when I guess we sort of formalized it.
Signed the papers officially, girlfriend.
Yeah,
boyfriend.
Yeah. So that was how it sort of went official at that point. Yeah. So to I guess summarize it, how I felt at that point was, you know, I definitely was feeling like I really liked you at that point, but obviously that party sort of confirmed what I was feeling.
That party? What are we, like a business deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me was, I wasn't sure, I didn't want to make the move first without thinking, well,
I think it's always that point with whoever it is, when you're seeing someone, you're always scared to take that extra step because you don't know, like,
how they feel or if they're going to react the way that you want them to react.
Yeah, even though like you guys were kind of seeing each other essentially,
yeah.
But like you never know for sure. So
yeah, so that's why it was sort of like I wasn't confident at that point because it's just like, well, I didn't want to say, hey, do you want to blah, 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 and then you're like, nah, fuck off, you ugly cunt.
But was it because you were scared of being rejected or something?
Of course, everyone's scared of being rejected. Shit. No one wants to fucking be like, hey, let's do this, and then you're like, nah, fuck off, mate. I don't like you. You're ugly. Like
you're like you did at Garden City and left me hanging at school. Never talked to me for 6 years ever again.
Hey, but it ended up working out though. But just I guess where I was trying to go at was I was definitely feeling the same at that time. But obviously, when you were drunk, that sort of unraveled your side of the story, which obviously I didn't know. It was uncharted territory for me. So that sort of verified and confirmed me to sort of go, okay, let's push it further.
Yeah.
So at that point, that's when, you know, we basically went official, right? So,
Yeah.
like you said, signing the papers, making it official, sort of dating.
No real papers.
No real papers.
Virtual feelings
yeah.
instead of, yeah.
Yeah, so that was how I was definitely feeling at that point.
Well, yeah, definitely breaks the traditional way of asking anyone out, but that was how we did it.
Yep.
Through a lot of 151s, Bacardis, drunk nights, vomit, and spit.
That's disgusting. That's yuck.
Alright, well, we'll come back soon and we'll continue on with this conversation. We'll talk about, was finding an Asian partner always something on your mind, or if that was something your parents kind of put into your mind, and we'll discuss about that.
Thank you so much if you have reached to the end. We really appreciate you for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please share it with your friends or family and subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you are listening to.
Make sure you share any topics you'd like us to cover or questions you might have to our Instagram.
Slide it into our DMs.
Pika. You can also stay in the loop of all the behind the scenes and the release of our new episodes there too. Our Instagram is Ask the Duo Podcast. That's AskTheDuoPodcast. Man, feels like I'm in a spelling bee competition right now. Alright, that's it for now, and we'll see you back here for our next episode. Bye!
See ya!